So this is 1220E,
Right,
where
right.
Margaret used to live on Bayside Drive. Okay.
Now, I always watered my lawn, kept it really nice. I put a little white fence, picket fence, and had flowers and little, seasonal stuff going on, and always, and that's part of being in a home and making things fun for your kids and festive for your kids during the holidays and stuff. And it's a shame that we have to worry about contamination, about radiation, about contamination, about just any sorts of things that are hazardous to the health of us and to the health of our children. So, that being said, there was normal things that normal families do in normal homes that probably has put us and our families at risk for further exposure.
And this was the very first place you lived in when you got to Maryland, and that was in what year?
2000.
2000. That's right at the beginning.
Yeah. These other units were empty. They had not been occupied ever.
Are they occupied now?
Oh yeah.
But they hadn't been occupied yet.
Right. So when I moved in, everything was brand new.
Yeah.
And I remember the housing authority coming to do their inspection of the unit, and he said, "You know what? This is one of the best units on this island."
The irony.
Who'd have knew?
These buildings had been here for a while because the military
Right.
family lived in it.
I just want to say a peculiar story about when I lived here. My son, he's now 21, was about 7, 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. Him and another child from another resident that they used to play together was in these units back here. Here, I'm gonna walk back there. Point them out.
Okay.
The peculiar thing that I think about now is that nobody still lives in those units. They still not have rented those units out. They're still vacant. So they've been vacant since 2000.
Wind's coming up here. These units have been vacant. Wait a minute. Which units are you talking about? Been vacant since 2000.
Yes.
You're talking about what? Now you're pointing, but which ones do you mean?
It says 1222 on them.
These buildings have been vacant since 2000, which means they were never inhabited.
Right.
Because the Navy pulled out in 1999.
And so you can see.
Wait, far away from the camera.
You can see the fences are gone. Everything's boarded up. Now, in 2000 when I moved here, there was fences. These places were being remodeled. So my son and another child got into one of the units.
As children will,
Yes.
climb into vacant houses.
So there was cement, dry cement, the stuff you mix the cement with, cement mixture, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. So the cement was in there, bags of it. But my thing is that if it looks like they've done some kind of work to it, but
Why?
you're still not renting it out. I don't understand. For 14
what
years.
have they done? What have they done?
Because it looks clean. Doesn't it look clean?
You mean they like washed the mold off?
I don't know what they did.
It looks cleaner than when you were
Yes,
here.
because the fences are gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see a lot of broken glass, but probably people was breaking the doors and windows of this place, I know my kids used to go in there playing.
You mean these, to your knowledge, these buildings have never been occupied, and yet they have done something to this.
Why would they have all that cement stuff in there? Why would they had just painted? Why would they just had put new carpet in there? If they were intending on renting them out, right?
Was there new carpet in there?
Yeah.
Rolls of it.
Yes.
And there was cement in
No,
there.
not rows of it. It was already.
It was carpeted.
It was already carpeted, and the walls were painted, and it was being ready to be occupied.
Tell me, in what year do you remember, roughly around what year did this happen?
It's 2000, 2001.
In 2000.
2001. We had been here for a little.
So what do you think?
You know what? I don't know, and that's just what I was saying. I'm going to tell this curious story because this is just something that I thought about, because I remember my son doing this, you know, and the places were being fixed to be occupied back in 2000, but here it is 2014 and they're still not occupied. So
do you suppose they found something out in the meantime?
I don't know.
Has this occurred to you?
Well, now, I mean, I never really thought about it until I was standing here remembering about my son.
You mean right now?
Right, and that they've still never been occupied. And that's just something that just kind of occurred to me right now.
So my big question right now is, did they figure something out? They started fixing them and then they learned something and they stopped? You know what?
That must be, because I know that they were...
So it means they knew something.
Trying to occupy them.
They
were
knew something.
Fixing them up to be occupied, and then it stopped. But the thing about it is that my son was in there playing. You know, what's wrong with that unit that is not occupied? What was my son exposed to in there? You know?
Why wasn't your son kept out of there by a high fence and windows he couldn't get through?
I don't think anybody knew.
But if they stopped redecorating it, maybe they knew. Maybe they did know. Maybe they could have fixed it so children couldn't get in.
I don't think that they would have went as far as they did with redoing it and preparing it to be occupied if they knew back then.
But then why did they stop?
They must have found something out.
And then
in the midst of redoing that.
Then there's your answer. That's what I was looking for you to say. So then after that, why didn't they fix it so kids couldn't get in there? Once they found
now it's fixed. I don't think kids can get in there now, but this is 14 years later, so
why don't you think? You mean because these windows are boarded up in the bottom?
Right.
Yeah. Now.
And the fences are gone, and it's like, you know what, really, you look at the place and it was like, wow, well, what really happened here? You know, you wonder. Right here across the street, they have all this stuff up.
Yeah.
And signs and fenced off.
Yeah.
So why don't they have this fenced off if this is part of that? But then look at where we are. This is where I first moved. Into 20.
Into this row. Not this very home.
No, not
down
this.
the block.
Yes.
Down the block.
Down the middle of the block.
Yeah.
So if this is contaminated and it has not been occupied, this started being prepared to be occupied, but it's not. It hasn't been in 14 years. Hasn't that, whatever's contaminated, the reason why you're not occupying it? And then hasn't that contamination blown or traveled to that sandbox that you knew was contaminated? That you tore down that play structure that was in there?
You mean in the backyard behind those buildings that we're looking at?
Where we first filmed, where I took the camera and zoomed in on the sandbox and the picnic table.
Yeah.
So this is all so close, knit together, that how come we're still residing here?
You were allowed to live there, and people are still allowed to live there.
These units, a lot of people have moved out of.
Okay.
They pay regular rent. Be market rate rent.
These are John Stewart buildings. I can tell. May I tell you? I know something about this site that may be important for what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Let's walk down to this grassy area right here, because it was in this grassy area that they recently discovered. Come on with me. Come on with me. Come on with me. Right here, where we're walking, the sidewalk that your feet are walking on, that my feet are walking on, and around in this grassy area, this whole thing, the place where the mailbox is, right here. All of this used to be a burn pit.
I heard him talking about
This is the burn pit. They threw everything in here. They threw electric wiring, they threw clothing, they threw radioactive stuff, they threw chemicals, and just burned it. We're standing in the middle of it. This is a burn pit.